for Thursday, the 25th of May. I'm Stephen Ridgway. There is a vulnerability in a WordPress cookie consent plugin. The plugin is used on 1.5 million websites, and it's currently being targeted. So the plugin itself is the beautiful cookie consent banner. It is an unauthenticated cross-site scripting vulnerability, which effectively gives the attackers the ability to run scripts via that particular plugin. So if you are using that plugin, would suggest that you update it. So the unpatched plugin versions up to and including 2.10.1. So you're aiming for 2.10.2 or above. GitLab is strongly recommending patching a high severity path traversal flaw. It is being tracked as CVE 2023-2825, and it has its CVSS score of 10. So, yeah. The vulnerability impacts GitLab Community Edition and Enterprise Edition versions 16.0.0. Older versions aren't affected. So there's a patch out. So if you are using GitLab, yep, definitely look out for this. New Power Exchange malware has backdoored Microsoft Exchange servers. Microsoft Exchange servers on site, Microsoft Exchange servers have had a bad time over the last year or so. In this particular case, there is a new PowerShell based piece of malware dubbed Power Exchange, and it's been used in attacks that have been linked to APT34, which is an Iranian state-backed hackers. Method of infiltration is usually phishing email containing malicious executable. There are various other steps in this which are set out in the article. We'll link to the briefing, but basically watch out. This is on exchanges under attack again. Keep your exchange up to date, and it is tricky when these living off the land type attacks hit you, because the tooling is legitimate tooling. So PowerShell in this particular case, so be vigilant. So the Five Eyes and Microsoft, Five Eyes being a security agreement between Australia, Canada, New Zealand, UK, and the US. They've published a joint advisory accusing the Chinese of attacking US infrastructure again. A particular set of attacks are often focused around authentication bypass in Manage Engine that's been around and exploited since 2021. So that's CVE 2021, by the way, 40539. It also the attackers are making use of compromised Soho grade routers. Mimikatz is surfacing again as part of these attacks. So Volt Typhoon is the name associated to all of this stuff. Various methods of attack that are out there, but basically 6 actions that are recommended to defend against Volt Typhoon: harden your domain controllers, monitor your event logs, focus on watching NTDSUtil and similar process creations, limit port proxy usage within environments. Investigate unusual IP addresses and ports in command lines, registry entries, firewall logs, etc. Review perimeter firewall configurations for unauthorized changes. Look for abnormal account activity. Well, that's, yeah, needles and haystacks come to mind. Forwarding log files to a hardened seam, which, yes, obviously we would recommend that because we've seen how useful it can be. So there's no magic. Just be on top of your basic cyber hygiene, but be aware the Chinese are, if they're attacking US infrastructure, they will have no qualms about attacking UK or any other Western infrastructure either. So worth a read, even if you're not a US based organization. And talking of advice, CISA has updated its ransomware guidance. Definitely worth reading this. It's definitely worth being aware of the CISA guidance on these things. Very well thought out guidance that's available there. They're now saying, yep, okay, they're including stuff around limiting the use of RDP and other remote desktop services. Implementing phishing resistant multi-factor authentication for all services. Consider passwordless MFA. Consider subscribing to services that monitor the dark web for compromised credentials. Creating policies that include cybersecurity awareness training about advanced forms of social engineering. Multi-cloud solutions to avoid issues with vendor lock-in. Implement zero trust architecture to prevent unauthorized access to data and services. Yeah, easier said than done, but it's definitely worth at least thinking through that one. And employing logical or physical means of network segregation. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Back in the day, I'll show my age again, but there was the architecture for a secure network used to be what's now called microsegmentation, and then we went through this whole let's just flatten the whole lot because it's so we can be so much faster, easier, quicker, and basically a bit cheaper. And now they realize that if everything's flat, as soon as anything's compromised, everything's compromised, and we're back to, oh, perhaps we ought to go back to microsegmentation again. Anyway, so there are various other recommendations around enterprise environments, cloud environments, and so on and so forth. So it's a good article. Malwarebytes who've summarized this thing well, and there's a link also to the actual updated CISA guidance. And then finally, from me today, Super VPN, which is a free VPN service, has managed to expose 133 gig of data, which is including 360 million user records. The user records include a vast range of information: email addresses, original IP addresses, geolocation, server data usage. Additionally, the breach is it a breach if they just put it on the internet unprotected? Interesting question. But yeah, secret keys, unique app user ID numbers, UUIDs, various other bits and pieces. So it is, what can one say? It's unfortunate, but equally free VPN services are not necessarily the best way to go. I mean, one of the points of VPNs is that, in fact, the real point of VPNs, apart from watching US Netflix from the UK, the real point of them is around privacy and hiding from your ISP things that you don't believe that they should be tracking and selling or giving away to your government. It's important when you're choosing a VPN provider to look into how much information they do hold about you. So most of the big names, NordVPN, uh, ExpressVPN is good, a handful of others. They are known to hold almost no data at all about you. So, and these have been tested by subpoenas in various countries. The servers have been confiscated, but there's no data on them. They don't record or hold any of this information. So bear in mind, free VPN services are not doing this, but they're making their money somehow, because running a VPN service requires a fairly substantial amount of infrastructure. So they are probably selling your data one way or another. Yeah, so beware. In this particular case, if you use the Super VPN free service, beware that is potentially your data has been breached via that. If you are thinking about VPN services, have a serious look at what it is that you're getting into, and think about your particular risk appetite and what it is you're trying to protect by using a VPN. Well, that's everything from me for today. Hope you have a good Thursday, and I will speak to you all again tomorrow.